Welcome everyone! Today we're going to look at a rather short speedrun in Hearts of Iron 4. Our goal is to capitulate Japan with China as quickly as possible. I recorded this run a while ago in version 1.11, but it works in older and more recent versions as well. We are playing Iron Man mode, historical, no mods in all DLCs, but only the expansion Waking the Tiger is actually necessary. You can use this strategy to get the achievement Awakened Angry rather effortlessly and create a big China very early on. First thing we do is to research the first tier of transport ships. All other research is optional. Next we queue up some naval dockyard construction to increase our convoy output and reduce our production to guns and convoys only. Importing steel from the Soviet Union will make up for our resource deficit and won't cost us any convoys. Now comes one of the key components of the strategy, getting into a war with Japan as fast as the game allows us to. As a non-aligned nation, we cannot justify a war goal manually due to low world tension, so we have to rush the focus pick a fight with Japan straight away. Each focus will take us 70 days to finish, meaning we will be able to start the war in December 1936. I'll get back to the focus tree in a minute when we're done with the setup. Our starting army consists of all kinds of divisions, many of them undersupplied. To have all divisions at full strength, while also adding some more divisions overall, we switched all divisions to the cavalry template. Our starting template only has 4 battalions of cavalry in it, the infantry template has 6 battalions. Both require roughly the same amount of equipment, which means that by switching templates, we free some of it up for other uses. The result is a pure cavalry army, which is nice, since speed will be our only advantage against the Japanese. The last step in our setup is recruiting additional divisions. While we wait for them to deploy, let me give you an overview of my roadmap and idea behind the strategies and exploits that I want to demonstrate in this and subsequent speedruns. Longer runs often include multiple subsets of very specific strategies and exploits. My plan for the following weeks is to release a series of speedruns that each highlight a specific strategy or exploit and how to make use of it in the immediate and wider circumstances. After that, I will gradually move towards more complex speedruns that make use of the strategies that we've already covered. My first goal I will be working towards is the official speedrun category Capitulate All Majors, since it sits empty at the moment. This is unfortunately true for many of the categories that require long runs. It's not that strategies for those categories do not exist, but most of them involve run-ending RNG for optimal times, which is just very off-putting because you have to play and record it in a single session to comply with the speedrun.com rules. This series is hopefully going to conclude in a true world conquest run, but in order to make that possible, I'll have to invest my political power for all of 2022 into the negotiations with my wife. But enough of that. Let's get back to the task at hand. After deploying the additional divisions, there are only a few but crucial steps left that we need to take before the war kicks off later this year. We keep progressing through the focus tree towards pick a fight with Japan by taking nationalism after finishing 3 principles of the people and going prioritize the interior and anti-communism next. This is the time when I usually start planning the naval invasions. We only need to do this 70 days in advance, but in order to not forget to do it in time, I use anti-communism as a reminder. If you want to go for the Awaken Angry achievement, this is where you need to do things slightly differently. Use the war goals that we've just got from the focus tree to declare war against Communist China and Xinjiang. Ideally, you want to have prepared for that by placing divisions close to Commie China. Instead of rushing straight for a pick a fight with Japan, make a detour to subjugate the warlords first. After the focus is finished, each warlord will choose to become either a puppet or refuse, giving you a war goal in return. I very much prefer the war goals over the puppets, since it takes a lot of political power to annex them through the China-specific subjugation system. On the flip side, you get their generals if you do it that way. The chance for puppet or war goal are 50-50. The outcome is determined the moment you choose the focus, so if you want to safe scum the dice roll, you'll need to make a save before that. Make use of all the war goals that you got and finish the skirmish quickly. Your divisions must be relocated back to the coast in time before the focus pick a fight with Japan is finished. The reason you want to do all this before the war with Japan is that the communist warlords will join Comintern if you do it afterwards. Back to the current plan and planning the naval invasions. The current maximum capacity for divisions used in naval invasions is 10. If we want to use more than that, we need higher tier research and naval transports. At least that's how it's intended to work. I will show you how to completely break that max capacity, but first we need to set up the actual invasion orders. The coastal tiles that we target are very carefully chosen here. We do not want to target ports and victory points directly, because if those ports are occupied, we won't be able to take them by force anyway, and also negate the enemy's option to relocate in the meantime as well. But the AI making bad decisions is exactly what we're banking on. Additionally, we want to have as many divisions on the Japanese home islands to be able to maneuver freely and pin down enemy divisions in advantageous spots. We have left most of our divisions scattered around China up until now to spread the supply needs. But the war is just a few weeks away now, so we begin the last preparations and organize our army. One army will be stationed at the land border with Japan to pin them down at the start of the war. We don't want them rushing back to Japan once the AI detects hostile divisions on its core territory. Some more divisions will prepare a push into Japan's puppets so that we can annex them in the upcoming peace conference as well. All other divisions will move to Shanghai, from where our invasions will launch from. So why the hell should this work? The Japanese Navy outnumbers our tiny fleet with a ratio of roughly 25-1, and 10 divisions won't be able to push through Japan before getting bogged down at one of the many choke points. That's absolutely correct in many circumstances, so let me explain why it works. If the AI detects hostility towards itself, it will try to prepare by moving divisions to any shared border. If the AI commands a navy, it will also be ordered to cover the sea zones bordering the hostile nation, if there are any, and defend its own as well. What's interesting though is that the AI does not act on this threat if it is an indirect one or if it's coming from a focus that's currently underway, as long as it isn't at war or preparing to go at war itself. Meaning the strategy would fail if we waited for the Japanese to attack, attempted this during a war, or with manual justifications against Japan. Because of these circumstances, Japan's navy is not on alert and is currently anchored in ports without active missions. Same goes for the state of alert that the AI is currently in. This will very rapidly change once we have an active war goal on them though, which brings us to the second crucial part of the strategy. We hire a maneuver expert for 10% additional movement speed, which we could have done earlier to make use of the new passive XP gain system and give our field marshal the trait charismatic. The focus pick a fight with Japan is nearly finished, so it's time to assign 10 divisions to one of the naval invasion orders if you haven't done so by now. Even though no divisions were assigned to these orders, the planning still happened for all of them. Now we just need to set our navy to naval invasion orders and we're good to go. Since none of the sea regions are contested, our invasion orders are clear to launch. We give them the go immediately to allow them to leave port without delay and do the same for our armies in the north. The moment we finish the focus and get our war goal, we pause the game and declare war. We now have a window of a couple of hours during which the Imperial Japanese Navy is not active. To make the most use of this, we reduce the game speed to 1 and wait 1 tick in-game. This is enough for our divisions to leave port towards their destination. By unassigning the 10 divisions from the order, we immediately free up the max capacity again, allowing us to assign an additional batch of 10 divisions to an invasion order. And since those have been prepared and planned beforehand, the whole thing is ready to go within the next in-game tick. We repeat this process until all 60 divisions are on their way. You can even send more, but it's overkill and the sea zones will soon be contested. The only downside is that we're losing the automatic fleet escort feature from naval invasion support. Doesn't matter anyway, because we are now setting all fleets to patrol to ideally engage enemy fleets first before they can engage our convoys. We now want to cause as much aggression at the northern border as we can. I think that the AI, just as the player gets a notification about an ongoing invasion, but I honestly have no idea if and how it acts on it. What I do know is that by attacking and pushing into undefended tiles, Japan will try to balance its divisions on all fronts, creating massive redeploy chaos. After our divisions make landfall in mainland Japan, we want to quickly take all major victory points. This isn't much of a challenge unless you try to brute force your way through. The Japanese divisions are a lot stronger than ours, so instead of relying on strength, we simply rely on the AI making errors while trying to balance out its army across all fronts. That's why we pay close attention to divisions on major victory points, such as Hiroshima and Osaka. As soon as they leave their tile, we want to push in. This often requires pinning down adjacent divisions in the meantime. It is just a question of minutes until Japan capitulates now. We started the war on December 16th, established our first beachhead on the 20th, and will accept Japan's unconditional surrender on the 28th. It might very well take a couple of days longer if one of the key victory points is not abandoned by the AI. I didn't intend to continue this save file, so I took everything for that sweet screenshot and to satisfy my map painting needs. If you want to continue playing after this point, you should handle the peace conference a bit differently and instead leave Japan some territory that you create a puppet in to gain control over their fleet via diplo-annexing later on. If you want to get the Awaken Angry achievement, you have to leave Japan at least its capital and the surrounding region and not puppet them there. That way it will continue its predetermined focus path towards a war with China. To call it a war though wouldn't do it justice, of course, because immediately after the beginning of the conflict, Japan will already offer white peace. It does not control any provinces on the continent anymore, which automatically triggers a white peace event that's needed for the Awaken Angry achievement. And that's it! If you have any further questions or feedback in general, I'm happy to read those and help out if possible. I've linked the unedited run in the description below, although this isn't an official speedrun because there's no category to fit this in. I hope to see you again for my next video in which we take a look at a Capitulate the Allies world record speedrun. I'm grateful for all the nice and encouraging comments after I released my Roman Empire speedrun, and I'm sorry that I don't have time to bring you more and longer videos at the moment. With another baby, our business and everything that's going on in the world right now, I find it difficult to make the time and get my motivation up for long and truly complicated runs. That's why I went for a couple of shorter runs for now, with longer runs sprinkled in between. Let me know in the comments what you think about that approach. Thank you all for watching, and have a great day.